It's actually my first time in the bune duggy.
Oh man, I rolled this thing with David Freiberger one time.
I know, I was filming. Hey, fire it up. Let's take it for a spin.
Oh man, I got a dead battery.
I wish.
Yeah, still on a trailer. Actually, it wouldn't take much to get this thing going.
No. I've been really wanting to get this thing going. It's
I know.
It's like a go-kart on steroids.
It is pretty good. It was a little anemic as far as the power though.
Yeah, well, we could definitely replace that. I think a Subaru motor would do pretty good back there with the turbo. You know?
I would be game. I mean, that's a single port 1200 or 1100. Like
tiny.
It's like the earliest. I ran the numbers because I was like, man, I got to get a dual port. And then what happened was I started looking because back in the day, I know used VW 1600 was,
yeah,
you know, $100, a couple $100 for a runner or whatever. Man, people want a
$3
lot.
grand.
Yeah,
well, that's like, it seems almost like if you put together an engine and you post it on Craigslist, you're not asking anything under $3 grand for it. It doesn't matter really what car it's for.
Yeah.
Unless it's like just a straight pull out, then you can find those for like 800 to 900.
The VW's stuff is like appreciated like crazy.
Yeah, I believe it. 1100 though is tiny.
I know, it's the smallest motor.
That's crazy. I thought that 1500 was like their small motor. Because that was like the earlier ones. The early 60s were 1500s.
Oh yeah.
And then they went to the 1600 with the Super Beetle.
Yeah, it's pretty good though, and it's yellow. I like the yellow.
Yeah, high action.
Yeah.
All right, well, we're in the Dune buggy, and we did a little post on Instagram to see if you guys had some questions that we could answer. And so, I've got your phone here. You haven't seen any of these questions.
No, this is kind of like the Wiley and Steve Q&A.
Yeah, exactly.
And, you know, I want to answer some viewer questions, because you can't really get into it like you can live, like on a comment and something like that.
Yeah, you could start a comment war almost if you try to reply to some of these comments on YouTube that we have.
Yeah.
So we just give our final word and then let it rest.
Yeah, like some guy barbecued me for putting Bondo on bare metal.
Give it to him, Steve.
That's how it was originally always done.
Okay.
But I did start bondoing over primer, like epoxy, to like seal it. And I mean, the guy was pretty scathing.
Right, I saw the comment.
But I mean, the car had Bondo that was probably put in 30 years ago, way before I bought it. And then I had the car sitting outside for 15 years.
Yeah.
And it was all Bondo over bare metal. And there was, when I ground it out, there was no rust underneath.
Right, and that's like the perfect environment to get moisture trapped in between the Bondo and the metal.
Yeah.
And if that would have happened, it probably would have flaked off when you tried sanding.
Well,
too,
yeah,
right?
it was like, it was stuck on like glue and
like Bondo.
Yeah. I was like, dude, man, I mean, I had experience where Bondo is blown out before when I was on the coast.
Yeah.
And I don't know, maybe, who knows, but I started like epoxying and then bondoing. But there's different Bondos too, because the original Bondo is talc.
Okay.
And talc, it's made to absorb water because it's polyester resin and a filler.
Okay.
But like it, you know, if it's micro balloons or I didn't make that term up. That's a actual like filler material that they mix up to make the paste, among other things. That's completely waterproof. You use it for fairing boats and stuff like that. So,
okay.
Would you be scared to put that on bare metal?
I guess not, as long as it can actually grab the surface of the metal, right? But what's the argument there that primer has a better grabbing surface than bare metal because of a little bit of more porousness?
Well, they just say that like the epoxy will seal the metal and the Bondo will breathe in any moisture and then pop. But
so it's the Bondo that's too porous, which would let the moisture penetrate to the metal.
Yeah, but what kind of Bondo are we talking about?
Well, you're going to put paint over that too,
yeah,
right?
Exactly. So,
how many seals do you need?
I don't know. Like I said, the Dodge Dart that we did the episode on with Emily, there were a lot of spots of like 40-year-old Bondo or 30-year-old Bondo that were on bare metal, and there was not even a trace of rust on that metal when I had to grind it off.
Yeah, you took it all the way down.
In some spots.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and that's the thing. Yeah, you were going around it, and that's where you would see most of the rust anyways, would be the edges of the Bondo, right? With the thinnest spots.
Yeah.
Because that's where it would leak through.
I don't know. I'm not like going to say one thing is right necessarily and something is always wrong. But this is not like a Riddler show quality, like...
Yeah.
Or, you know.
Yeah, like a Meckham auction show car.
Yeah, it's going to look really nice, but I've done those kind of cars, and this is not it. I would have taken it all the way to bare metal and...
Done all the metal work.
Done more. I would have strived to have zero Bondo in the car.
Yeah.
Which I don't even think those show car guys ever do anymore anyway.
Right.
Maybe some of them.
But that's the thing. It's like you're not trying to sell the car. We were trying to make it nice for Emily, and she's not trying to sell it either. She really just wants to have a nice, cool convertible to drive around in.
Yeah.
You know, so.
Pile up. She likes it's a 5-seater because she could put her friends in it. So.
Yeah. Plus, it'll hurt that much less if she gets a ding in the door and you didn't do all the door work, you know?
Yeah, that's true.
All right, let's see if we got any good questions here from some of the fans at home.
Oh, man, it's so relaxing in here.
Okay, I'm going to hit this one real quick.
Okay.
We got Hugh Simmons 902 on Instagram. Said, what's the best Ford engine?
The best Ford? Well,
in your opinion, what's your favorite Ford engine?
Well, my favorite is probably the Windsor because I've got one in my Cougar, but the best, hands down, is the Cleveland. I mean, the whole layout of the architecture of the cylinder heads, that defined NASCAR for a generation, you know. And then everyone copied the design and aftermarket heads.
You think that was more revolutionary than like the Boss 429?
The Boss 429, it was very, very limited production, number one. It was a big, heavy, cantankerous thing, and I'm not going to knock it. It's like a legendary
That's
engine.
what I'm saying, yeah, because some people would argue that's the best Ford engine, right?
Yeah.
Some people.
Basically, that was a Hemi that had been around forever, but the Cleveland with the canted valves and the way they're offset and then the symmetrical port layout, that's just about the ideal like V8 cylinder head. So
yeah,
I think
that's it.
Would you vote for the Cleveland?
After this conversation, I'm going to vote Cleveland.
Wow, okay, I won you over. I'm like, I should get into politics.
Well, I'll be real with you. I have heard everyone always talk about the Windsor versus the Cleveland, you know, and then you're like, oh, what's in that? Is that a 351? It's like, yes, it is. It's like, which one is it? You know, people like want to know. And then if you tell them like, oh, it's a Windsor, they're like, oh, whatever.
Well, yeah.
You know, but honestly, that's a great motor too, from what I've heard.
Well, the Windsor back in the day was just a Weezer because the head sucked. But now with the aftermarket heads, it's crazy. I mean, you can get all the power that any factory Cleveland plus a lot more out of a Windsor. So yeah, but just on basically the geometry, the Cleveland's is like the ultimate cylinder head. The Windsor is pretty good. I mean, I love the Windsor because I've got one in my Cougar, and you know, it's pretty good. I like
it. What is we got Wanderson _25_ most overrated muscle car. I know these questions aren't pertaining just to our thing, but I just want to know what you think. What's the most overrated muscle car? It's a great question. Because I know what I think. I'm gonna offend a bunch of people.
I'm gonna have to say, man, I like.
You're gonna say it too?
No, I like just about all of them. I like GTOs. I like the Fords, and I like Oldsmobile Cutlasses. You know, like.
Is there one though that like people overrate? Is there something like is there a muscle car that people like, oh, this is the best muscle car ever, but really it's not? Like, you know,
I can answer that now.
No, yeah, because I think I know what car I'm. Let's say it at the same time. 1, 2, 3. 68 Camaro.
Oh, 68 Camaro.
Dude, I think the 68 Camaro, it's like, I don't mean to offend anyone. I know a lot of you have probably built really nice 68 Camaros, but most of the time I see guys driving 68 Camaros and you know they bought it. It's fully dialed in.
A lot of times,
19-inch rims and tiny profile wheels, and it's like all set up. You see the guy inside and your fingernail polish wouldn't have lasted through that build.
You know, there might be something to be said for bought not built.
Yeah.
You know, because you can hop right into that thing right away, and you know how many guys want to build but then you know, life gets in the way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and how much time do we spend building and not actually driving the cars? But what is the enjoyment for you? You know, is it the build or is it the drive?
Yeah.
Both?
For me, it's like, I don't know. I use Maverick as the example, but back in the day, there were certain cars like that didn't get any respect. Like, they just didn't, because they were like regular passenger cars. They're really common. They sold 1 million of them. Now we look back at them as muscle cars, but back in the day, you know, nobody really cared.
People wouldn't even take a second glance.
So all those things, I'm just gonna jump back in time and not care anymore, even right now. How about that?
I agree. No, let's not care. No, it's true though. Even like for the Chargers, you know, the 71 through 74, it's funny because it's nearly the same car, but just the small window differences. People are like, oh, I don't want a 72, you know, or whatever, or 70. Which one is it that has the bad window? 73.
I didn't like the opera windows on 73, even though I had the Bro Charger. But yeah, I mean, everyone has their own taste.
Yeah, exactly.
Some guys really like and I mean, some people might really like Dodge Darts, and some people like Cudas, some like Challengers, and guys like me just like them all.
And not to say I wouldn't want a 68 Camaro. Yeah. I would love to have one. They're sweet cars. But in my opinion, maybe the most overpurchased muscle car.
Yeah, it is.
All right, I got one for you.
Yeah, I'm ready.
All right. It's pretty good because, you know, I think you're going to have a really detailed answer for this one.
Oh, really?
Yeah. This guy, Greg Kruger, 73, said, how do you keep track of all your vehicles? Master list somewhere? Or are they all upstairs?
Oh, come on. No, you think I don't have a filing cabinet. I don't even, no, the paperwork's not my forte, but...
you can see them. They're all back here.
Yeah, I'm back here every day. I mean, you know, I don't have a crazy number of cars. I've got a lot by most people's standards, but, you know, if you see a plumber and you go, oh, dude, like, how do you keep track of all your pipe? You know, you wouldn't do it. You just figured a plumber's going to know about his pipe. Well, I do car stuff.
Watch, some plumber's going to comment and be like, dude, I've got every single fitting listed.
You know? Yeah, probably.
All right, we got another question here from Moto Jim 21, and he said, thermoquad shirts?
Oh, yeah. Well, I mean, the thermoquad shirt's a David Freiberger.
That's a Freiberger thing, yeah.
Yeah, I'm not sure what his thing. He's got a Freiberger store. I can't.
Yeah, I think it's shopdavidfreiberger.com or davidfreiberger.shop.com. I don't know, but check it out. I'm sure you can find it if you Google it. Thermoquad shirts are available there. But for us, we're actually working on our own line of merch. So soon we're going to be dropping shirts of our own, and that will be exciting. So look forward to that.
Yeah, it's going to be cool. I mean, we've got some good ideas. Obviously, Thermoquad's already taken, but...
Yeah, and we're not trying to steal. Yeah, we don't want to steal David's thunder.
Yeah, no, you can't have them all. So
yeah, no competing T-shirts.
But I do like wearing the Thermoquad T-shirt.
It is one of my favorite Freiberger shirts.
I've got two, and I do wear them quite a bit.
All right, yeah. Here, so is that your? This was going to be a question from me.
Okay.
Is that your favorite Freiberger shirt?
Oh, hands down.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
That one is pretty good. I do like his basic Jeep shirt.
Oh,
the white Jeep with the giant tires.
Generic Jeep?
Generic Jeep.
Yeah.
That thing is sick. I like that shirt, yeah. I get a lot of compliments on that one.
It's cool. My daughter has a TJ.
We got a question for both of us here.
Okay.
This one is from... It's Sean Draws Things. Okay, it's all one word. So
Draws Things? Is he?
He must be an artist.
Oh yeah, that's the impression that I get with that name.
So, so what was the first car Steve ever worked on? Who got him into it? And same question for Wiley.
Okay, I think I've told the story before because let me think. I was 10, and my brother was 8, and. My dad taught us how to drive in a Jeep, a CJ28, 1946. It was really rough, and it had an F-head engine in it, which is like a little bit later of a 4-cylinder Jeep.
Yeah, you were just telling me this story. It's a good one. So
we learned to drive, and like I said, we're just little kids, and you know, my dad got a little teed off because every chance we had, we would go and like steal his keys and take off in the Jeep. He goes, he would get pretty fumed, right?
Yeah, well, you just stealing his vehicle.
Well, it wasn't that. He just didn't want us running around at 10, driving around on the roads and like taking off and all that, unsupervised. So, he took the key, and then I figured out how to hotwire it, which wasn't too hard. There's no column lock. It's just the ignition switch. We kept fooling around with that Jeep for quite a few years. Then my little brother and I did a frame off on it. So that was my first project.
Oh, okay. So you guys fully restored it? Or what'd you end up doing to it?
We fully restored it with a new body, because the body was totally rotten. Sandblasted a frame with a little Sears suction sandblaster and a 1 horsepower compressor, and then I shot it with a Binks Model 37.
Oh, you guys repainted it and everything. Oh, well, because you got the new body.
Yeah, like top, bottom, and you know what? Okay, that was the first time I ever painted. I would just read like a few paint things in magazines, and then I bought like Peterson's Body and Paint Special, which is a little softcover booklet that you can get.
Yeah.
And man, shot that thing with Acme synthetic enamel in AMC Trans Am red.
No way, that's awesome.
It literally flowed out like glass, and there wasn't a speck of anything in it. We shot it right in what's our front shop where we
shot Roadkill Garage.
Yeah. And I was like, man, I must be just a great painter, because look at this thing. It's like a show car.
It's amazing.
Yeah.
And that was your first paint job.
Yeah. And then after that, I was like hooked. And they didn't all turn out like that, but
were your siblings just in awe of the paint job once you were done?
Well, George, my younger brother, and I basically did it together. We filled in all the spot welds because it's like little dimples all over it.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was just crazy, but that was it. That was my first car experience.
Man, that's a good one.
I know. I liked it.
Yeah, that's mine's not quite as heroic. So my dad's a mechanic by trade, and he worked out of the shop that was attached to our house. And he just did maintenance mechanic stuff. So
oh, yeah.
He's been working on everybody's cars, since they bought it from the dealer. They'd take it to him for, the last 20 years. Well, he had a customer that had been coming to him for years, and they bought a new Toyota Camry. And so they had an old Toyota Camry that, had 1 million miles on it. And they were like, you know what? We're going to give this one to you, Joe. So they gave it to my dad, and it had some problems with it. It had bad fuel pump, and it was actually a limited edition Camry. It's called the All Track. It was an all-wheel drive 5-speed manual Camry, and that was my first car. And my dad gave me that thing, and he said, you can have this if you can make it run by next week or
something.
No,
wow.
Yeah, it was like a stipulation thing.
I know that.
He thought he was just going to give it to me, and I was just going to be like, just going to sit there. Yeah. So anyways, I went to the junkyard because I didn't have any money. So I went to the junkyard. I pulled a used fuel pump out of the junkyard. I bought it for like $12 or something on a half day at Pick and Pull. And then I went home, put that fuel pump in. I got the radio, and I got that thing running pretty decent.
Oh, nice.
And I sold it for $500.
Oh, dude, man,
which was like the most money I had ever had in my life. And I was 15, so I actually was not 15 and a half. I didn't have my permit yet. Couldn't even drive. So I was like, I'm gonna sell this and get a better car. So I sold it for $500, and couldn't find a better car.
Well, you were like a car flipper way back then.
Dude, right from the beginning. No, I saw my dad doing it my whole life. You know, but
that's pretty cool.
It was a cool car, and it was a good opportunity. And
don't you hate when you have no bucks when you're in high school?
I mean, it's a bummer, but I feel like those were the times in my life when I had zero money. I don't even know if I had a bank account.
Well,
you know what I mean?
I had no money either.
And that's how you learn, though, to make cool things out of nothing, because you don't have anything. You have to just scrounge and get really creative and be like, how do I get out of this box that I'm stuck in and actually make this cool with no money? And it turns out spray paint, masking tape, and
you do whatever
some simple things can make a big difference.
It's work too.
Yeah, and in just hours of work.
I remember this guy at my high school, Alvin Homan, he used to have a sand drag truck and a lot of cool stuff. And like he was selling some Mickey Thompson valve covers, aluminum valve covers, and I wanted them for my Charger. And I think it was $6 or something like that. And like I scrounged coins from all around and then just paid them with the sock. It's like, dude,
soccer coins.
Man, pretty much, man. I was really happy I came up with the dough, but yeah.
So sometimes you do what you got to do.
Yeah.
I did that for gas money for years. So real quick side note, my car directly after the Camry was an 87 Honda Civic hatchback SI, which was like this sporty, sweet little car, which I thought was awesome. And it got like 40 miles a gallon. So to like what you were saying, I would just go look for quarters. And like I'd find them around the house, looking under the refrigerator, and like my dad's change drawer occasionally, you know. But you know, like it would only take me about $3, and I could go. Well, I lived in the country, so we could go all the way into town, hang out with your friends, and come home for like $2 or $3.
Yeah.
You know, you say, oh, I can find change anywhere.
That's pretty good.
Yeah.
Especially like right now, I'm feeling the pain. My Durango is getting terrible mileage.
Oh, really?
I might need to tune up, but I'm getting 11 to 12 miles to the gallon.
Oh, that's bad.
No, they should be getting 18 or 19 on cruise. That's it's eating me alive, dude.
We should answer this one first before we get to some fun ones. You know, any dyno videos coming up? I think we've kind of discussed it a little bit. We are definitely going to be doing dyno videos. I think that's like one of the biggest things I'm looking forward to is
me too.
Throwing some motors on the dyno, doing some A/B testing, building a motor, testing that. You know, I don't know. There's like endless options with the dyno, and we're really looking forward to that. But the current situation with the dyno is ever changing. We got the computer back. So if you've been up to date with what's going on with the dyno, we were missing the computer. We got the computer back, and now we just pretty much need to hook up some ventilation from the exhaust to outside of the building so that we can run a motor without asphyxiating ourselves.
Yeah, I mean, I'll give you guys the whole rundown. Number one, the exhaust system. We had to make shift like baking pans for like the thing, because you can't suck exhaust back in the room. It will completely kill the power numbers. Because it's displacing oxygen. So I bought some 6-inch. I need a reducer, and I got some plates. I just have to do the fabrication work on that to get an exhaust system that'll be adjustable, and it'll telescope in and out so that I can hook it up to whatever we're doing. So that's one. Number two, the exhaust fan system right now is just ventilating into the main shop from the cell, because the ducting's not finished. So that's number two. And then this number three is actually pretty important too. I'm not gonna say I'm the dyno operator like Steve Brule. I have done it before, probably haven't done it in 20 years. So I want to get some seat time so that when we're gonna say, hey, let's do a video dynoing, whatever engine we have.
Yeah.
I'm tuned up. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And that's actually, something I've got to get a little free time where I can, spend 2 or 3 days just getting really familiarized with it, basically.
Yeah, making some runs, doing some mild passes, and seeing how you feel. Like, you got to get comfortable with it. It's got to be nerve-wracking because you're sitting there and you're like, all right, here we go. And you just ramp that thing up, and it's going to put all the load on it. And, you don't know if you're just going to lose a motor then and there, or you're going to get the numbers you wanted.
Yeah, once you get it, like the feel for it, the ears, you can hear stuff, but your eyes have to be able to like cover a whole bunch of things at the same time. You want to notice if the oil pressure goes away. You want to look at the temperature to make sure it's
not spiking.
Yeah, we even had an air bubble when we were testing here not long ago, and I'm like,
pump.
Yeah, and I'm watching the thing moving way too fast. I'm like, dude, there's a problem here with the coolant flow.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it was just an air pocket making the electric pump cavitate. But I want to, I don't want to jump in and like Dulcich makes no wine before it's time.
Here's a simple one for you. Keep you distracted while I look for a better question.
Okay.
What do you prefer, head bolts or head studs?
Well, I mean, that's a That's a multi-layered kind of question, really, because
I thought it would keep you busy for a second.
Well, the head bolts will wear out your block a lot faster, that's for sure, because it's actually turning in the block. And you can, if you ever run a dyno motor or something like that.
You got to change the heads all the time?
Yeah, and you're just pulling heads off. You'll wear your block out. And so studs can be better. They can give you better gasket seal. I mean, depends on the material of the bolts or the studs. You can have more clamping force with one or another depending on grade, but I think studs offer superior clamping. I'm maybe in some situations it doesn't, but the other thing that's really important is you put the head studs on and then you drop the motor in your car, and then you've got to service it, like change the head gasket or pull the cylinder head off. That thing's got to come straight up like that much before.
So it's got to actually be completely out from underneath your firewall and all that
brake
stuff.
Booster and everything else, or you're pulling the engine to do like a service. So the head studs can be super inconvenient.
So it really matters on the application. Like, are you doing dyno with the motor, or are you planning on race carring this thing, or are you going to street drive it?
Right.
So, good answer. Actually, I got a cool one here because I want to do this too. They said, I'm going to shout this guy out. I've been trying to do that. So, Ben Roberts 6114 asked, when are you doing another get together at the beach?
Ooh.
That's a good one.
That would be good, yeah.
That was a lot of fun, actually.
Well, it wasn't like it was a thing that was like months in the pre-planning and like hype. I mean, we just decided to do it, boom. And
yeah. Well, it was Monday. I was like, dude, we should just throw a car show and invite a bunch of people to the beach and do some hot dogs. And it turned out really good. We had like 70 cars, I want to say, over 80 to 90 people, but 70 cars in the parking lot, and like really cool cars too.
Yeah, I know.
It was awesome. It was a great turnout. Everyone there was in like great spirits, and we were late, but everyone still was really nice to us.
It was super fun.
We had fun. It was cool.
And, we met all kinds of dudes over there and dudettes.
Yeah, and that one guy, what's his name? He gave you the thermoquad.
Oh, yeah, that was cool. I got a thermoquad.
Cool.
And it's not about getting gifts all the time.
No, I know, but that's a cool one.
That was a surprise. Yeah. And it was thoughtful because, if you've got an extra thermoquad like that you'll have no intention of ever using, you can always just throw it in the bag when you come out to the barbecue.
Yeah,
right.
There is a fan actually that hit me up. He's got like a gang load of them.
Oh, really?
He said, you need any thermoquads? And I was like, I think Steve has enough.
I do. Yeah, maybe you need to start stocking up on the thermoquads.
Maybe I do. I could use a couple. I need at least one, right? So to answer the question, we don't really know when we're going to do the next get together, but we'll try and give everybody a little bit bigger heads up so we can hopefully have more people.
Yeah.
But we're kind of thinking we want to do like
events.
We want to start actually having like more car shows and maybe drag events. I don't know. Like
get-togethers. I mean, there's a whole bunch of
a lot of opportunity. Yeah. It could be a lot of fun. We basically just want to have fun and have fun with our friends and other people. So you're part of that.
And be part of the car culture and help grow it for a lot of guys, because they might like classic American muscle, or even if you don't, like if you like British cars or whatever. I've got a lot of different cars, but that's beside the point.
Yeah.
So, maybe you want to hang out with some like-minded folk, and, we could facilitate that kind of thing too, which would be cool.
Yeah, exactly. And that's honestly, I've always loved the car community for that aspect of the community. It's insane. Like at a drag race, especially like Duct Tape Drags, Duct Tape David's event, is amazing. If your car breaks and you don't have a tool that you need, well, there's a bunch of people there that are willing to just hand off their tools to you. And, I'm not speaking openly for everyone at the event, but there's a lot of nice people there that have personally let me do that. And I've seen people do it with other people. So.
Yeah, generally the crowd is really cool. And there's they're just cool. You don't have like total hoodlums or like, crazy people. It's just like a regular good old Americana.
All right, so question from Irish Mikeo. I don't know if I'm saying that right, but what was your favorite Engine Masters show test?
I would say 440 six-pack versus Hemi because my six-pack did really well against Freiberger's Hemi. So it was just...
it was kind of fun.
Savoring the moment. Actually, I'd have another one, too.
What's that?
Well, I guess I'm just... I must be some kind of egomaniac because all my answers have to do with just me. But I built way back decades ago, I built a 440 tunnel ram engine. Actually, David Freiberger's tunnel ram shirt is that same engine. It's my tunnel ram 440 I built in like the early 2000s. And it made 666 horsepower on factory iron heads that I modified, of course. You're not going to get anywhere near that. But that was 20 years ago, and a lot of people on the message boards and stuff like that, which was the big deal back then, they were like, oh, you can't make that kind of power out of a 440.
Yeah.
And all that stuff. Well, 20 years later, we ran it on Engine Masters, and it made exactly the same horsepower.
Really?
666 on the button.
Just precisely.
So, yeah, so it was just kind of cool to rerun the motor. I love the way it looks with the tunnel ram and stuff like that. And
yeah.
It's an iron head 440, like factory iron. It makes a big number. It made it back then, and it's like, hey, it still makes it now.
Makes it now.
Yeah, and to the number, that was like really crazy.
That is impressive.
But
it had just been sitting there?
Yeah. I didn't even open it up or anything. I was just under
fired it up and right back to 600 horse.
I just dusted it off. Yeah. And
just like that motor. We're going to fire that. We just dusted that thing off after that engine had been sitting there for the D100.
Oh, yeah.
For like how long has that motor been there?
Well, that motor, this is the 360 that we're currently putting in my 77 Dodge D100 short bed step side. Wiley and I have been working on it. We were doing a couple of episodes, and that motor was actually built like 25 years ago, used for countless different tests for magazines and stuff like that. Freshened up a couple of times, been in a couple of vehicles, actually 3 different vehicles, and then kind of freshened up again, and now I'm putting it in my truck. And I don't know. It's been a pretty good motor. I guess that's pretty good mileage out of just one build.
Yeah, dude, it's been passed around quite a bit.
Yeah.
But it's going to live again and soon.
Right.
All right, so I got one for you here.
Okay.
From Christopher Clock. How many Hemis have you owned in your life so far?
Well, I'm presuming you mean like Gen 2 Hemis, like the muscle car era Hemis, not Gen 3, which is like the modern late model.
Yeah. I think he must mean classic Hemis.
Yeah, because like you could ask anyone how many Hemis you've had. And
right.
I had a pickup.
Well, I had a Honda.
Yeah.
You know.
But actually 0.
No classic Hemis.
No.
No Hemi cars.
No 426 Hemi or its derivatives.
So
never.
Is that why you're so partial to the 440? Because you've never owned a Hemi? So you never fell in love with it?
Maybe. I mean, I like 440s, but like, here's the thing on the Hemis. Even back in the day, they were special. It wasn't like you could find a Hemi Challenger.
Oh, yeah. It was the only car that people wanted.
And buy 500, buy it for $500. That didn't exist. And really, I had hardly seen any other than at the drag races and things like that. And, they were too rich for my blood. I didn't have that kind of scratch. Like a 440 or a 383 car or a 340. They were...
Yeah, you could afford to put it together.
Yeah, I could afford to put it together. I could afford to buy the vehicle. So basically, there were 2 factors on not ever getting a Hemi. Number 1 was the availability, because, you wouldn't go to like a self-service wrecking yard and go pull a Hemi out of something. That just didn't exist, where you can go pull 440s till the cows come home.
Yeah, you just go find a motorhome somewhere.
So, yeah, the availability and the cost. Those are the reasons. But yeah, I was deprived. I had no Hemis.
Yeah, all right. Well, I'm sad too. I have also been Hemi-less my whole life, except for I did own, so for Gen 3s, I have owned one. I owned that cop car for about 3 days before I sold it to my sister.
Yeah. That's pretty good.
Yeah,
I mean,
that was a fun one. Question from 4R35 Dustin.
Mm-hmm.
Any future videos on the Rec Runner?
Well, I mean, I'd be game.
Well, yeah, I think I'm actually really looking forward to getting the Rec Runner out. But
I love the Rec Runner.
You have a new transmission for it, right?
Well, I've got a gear set from Passing Performance, which makes it into, well, basically it's called a face-plated transmission, where you could just either just barely hiccup off the throttle, but not touch the clutch and, slam the gear. It's
Right.
crash box.
Crash box.
Yeah, and it'll make it really good on the drag strip.
Well, that's the only problem with it right now, really, is that transmission just doesn't shift at high RPM.
It's not that good, that's for sure. Sometimes you get lucky, sometimes you don't, so it's inconsistent. So I'm going to build the transmission using the stock case. And put the gear set in it, and also got a gear vendor overdrive for it, so we can take it to events on the road, because it's got a 410 gear.
Yeah. No, that'll be super sweet. I've always really wanted a gear vendor, but that's another pricey item that I just can't afford today.
Yeah, they're really pretty good.
But it makes your car completely usable.
Yeah.
Your race car into a street car.
It's an extra planetary gear, and similar things came, on British cars. It was a Laycock de Havilland overdrive, which had the same working principle.
With the planetary and all that.
Yeah, and they're just handy to have. I had a Sunbeam with that, and then the TR6 I got out of that junkyard in Arizona. Just got one.
And you would think, though, something like that, that's like, okay, we're doubling the gear ratio, essentially, right? Or halving it.
As far as RPM?
Yeah.
Oh, it's only I think a 22% overdrive ratio, so like a regular.
Oh, okay, so it's not a full
It's not as much as a 5-speed manual would have, like the TKX and your satellite.
See, I thought the gear vendor was like a splitter style thing.
Well, you could.
You can.
Well, yeah, because you can be in first gear, and then instead of shifting to second, you could put it in first over if you want to.
Right. Okay. So it's not like a full split, but it is kind of. It's because like on big rig trucks, right?
Yeah.
They have the splitter where you go first split, second split, right? Or they go first, second, third, back to second split. Then you have to know where to go.
Oh yeah,
that stuff's all crazy.
I don't know how those guys can do it, man, but they're bosses on the
old Peterbilts, right?
Yeah,
pretty sweet.
With the Road Ranger, I think it was called, and all that stuff.
Yeah, so the gear vendor though is incredible, because adding an overdrive like that, like 20% overdrive, like you're saying, but also still strong enough to run down the track.
Oh no, they're super brutally strong and incredibly quick and hard shifting. It's like boom, boom, boom. So it's going to be
definite upgrade.
But for me, I mean, the whole thing is it makes the car viable for big road trips, mostly to track events. I mean, we drove that thing to Roadkill Nights.
Dude, we've driven that car across like the entire country.
I know,
which is crazy. With no plates for most of it too, which is wild.
No plates, no paperwork.
We've got pulled over like 3 times on one road trip. Remember that with Freiburger?
Oh yeah.
Freiburger, I will have to say, is the best at being communicative with police. He can talk his way out of almost any ticket, or I don't know if he gets recognized, but he's a
Teflon.
Fox. He's a fox.
He's Teflon. No one would expect him to be a scoundrel with an unregistered car and no
Interior,
plates.
No plates.
Illegal in almost every aspect of it. Freiburger, he's just I think he must use some sort of special hypnosis.
Yeah, if he's got some type of telekinesis powers.
Yeah. I know, right?
Something. Yeah, Charger Brody?
Yeah.
He wants to know, did anyone ever hit the dart?
Oh no.
Never.
Nope.
But you better not.
Yeah. You want to know why?
Because we said it 1,000 times.
Yeah, I issued the warning. Yeah, don't hit the dart.
Don't you dare hit the dart.
The dart's right in there.
Yeah. So this one is actually good because I'm curious about this too. Body dropped A100 asked.
Oh.
Purple Cuda? With this, he put this emoji. I'm trying to.
Well, I bought the purple Cuda from him. Yeah.
Oh, you bought it from him?
Yeah.
Oh, no way.
So he's probably wondering, hey, what are you doing with the purple Cuda? But what am I going to do with the purple Cuda? I could just drop a motor in it just the way it is.
Yeah. What do you want to do with the purple Cuda? I think
I want to drop a motor in it and have a little fun. Actually, what comes to mind, which will look pretty cool, would be the tunnel ram 440 that we talked about earlier.
Out of the Cuda?
I would put that in the Cuda, yeah. Because it's all built, it's there with the tunnel ram.
It'd be ridiculous.
Yeah, it's like...
I don't like the tunnel rams. Because for driving, for drivability.
I think it'll drive pretty well. We'll find out.
I just think, just the blocking the view thing.
Oh, yeah.
I just am not a huge fan of like anything on my dash. If you put like your hat up on my dash,
You're going to shoot me?
No, I'll just probably like take it down when you're not looking.
No, yeah.
Or like, I don't like when people are like driving around, they got like 1,000 Beanie Babies on the dash.
You would throw those out the window, right?
I would too. But really, I don't know. I don't like stuff on my dash. I don't like too much stuff on my hood. I like a little hood scoop,
You don't like anything interfering with your field of vision.
My line of sight. Like too big of a pillar right here.
Too
big of a pillar, and you stop at a stop sign, you look right, and you're like, oh, nobody's over there. Start going, and there's a car coming. You're like, what the heck? It's because some new cars have like a gigantic pillar, dude. You can't even...
That's something I can't stand either.
I know blind spot in the front of the car?
Yeah.
Who does that?
I mean, it's not going to be a daily driver like you are with your satellite but...
You kind of did buy that car, though, to replace the satellite.
Oh, yeah, that's true, yeah.
Yeah, because I bought the only plum crazy purple car you had.
Oh, yeah, I mean... You're absolutely right. I was like, well, I guess I get all the green and brown Mopars. But the purple one, was cool. And then I was like, wow, man, if I find something cool in purple, I think I'd go for it. But then there's almost no purple on my car, the purple Cuda.
I think you'll be surprised once you start wet sanding it.
Oh, really?
Like my car, there was like no purple on it, and I found a lot of it.
Somebody took an angle grinder to the purple Cuda,
really?
And they stripped it. Like where you see rust, it's bare metal.
Oh, okay. I thought it had just been like primered over as well.
Nah, unfortunately, like your car was primered over. This thing, it was sanded, and then
it needs a paint job.
It's surface rust. Yeah, it needs a paint job. But I've got like a line of cars to paint. That's why I built an assembly line paint booth.
I know. You just roll it in, finish it, roll it out.
Yeah, I completely made it into the assembly line just for that. I was like, I've got to paint a car a month if I'm going to catch up with car painting.
Yeah. Well, honestly, it's like you start back here with the cars, and they can't go to the front without going through the paint booth first.
Right.
Yeah. It's kind of the process.
No, you got that right. Yeah.
Except for the shop truck that we're building.
Yeah.
We're going to drive right through the side field to get out with that thing.
Oh, yeah. That
no paint job.
No paint job, no.
Yeah. We got some guy on here named Alex Scola asking crew cab Chevelle versus Enforcer and a shout out.
Okay, well,
so whoever that guy is.
Yeah, no, we were just joking around. Alex Scola was our cameraman for a long time on Roadkill Garage and director, and you did Hot Rod Garage too as a director?
Yeah, I did some Hot Rod Garage stuff, and we had him on the show actually.
Yeah.
I think you should take Alex up on this. Crew cab Chevelle versus the Enforcer.
Well, wait
in a street race.
Wait a minute. I mean, we're talking about like proving the obvious. Slicks are going to be better than street tires.
Right.
Okay, so let's just take that to a higher level, and we're going to actually ask for your cooperation out there in TV or YouTube land.
Mm-hmm.
66 Chevelle LS3
4L80
4L80 and
it's just a Chevy 10 bolt.
Yeah, like if you had to really lay down the money on your favorite horse that's gonna win, and you're filling out the card. Okay, so I just described Alex's car, like a 4-door satellite 318 904 transmission, stock cam,
thermoquad.
Oh yeah, thermoquad.
Come on, baby.
Okay, who do you think's got the edge there? Who's gonna win? I think you'll be surprised. Yeah. I mean, I will modify the 318 before a said grudge match, but I won't like change the motor, put a stroker crank in there. I just get the 318 to make a lot of horsepower, and then lose anyway. I don't know. But anyway, if you have an opinion on that, put it in the comments. Let me know what you think. LS3 Chevelle versus 318 Satellite.
Yeah.
Who comes out victorious?
You decide.
We need to know.
Okay. Yeah, we know already. All right, Steve.
Yeah.
This is going to be a hard one because there's so many of them here. What is your favorite car that you currently own? Question asked by Tommy Ork 26.
Well, I can't pick the Dart convertible because I gave that to my daughter Emily.
Really, that would have been first choice.
I kind of like it now that I've been working on it a little bit, helping on it. I mean, I'm making her do most of the work. I guess my purple Cuda is my best car.
Is that your favorite, though?
Actually, I got maybe my Cuda convertible, actually. 70 Cuda convertible.
That's your favorite car.
I used to drive that thing around a lot, but I don't know, man, that hardtop. I mean, I really like Cudas are my favorite.
Yeah.
I think.
The Cuda is got the best look. Dude, it's like the best of all of the Mopars put together.
I've had some pretty cool Cudas in the past. I mean, I even restored one, did a killer ground up resto. It was red and with the black interior. Mm-hmm. Took it to auction and got, pretty good money out of those things. I was doing that. I kind of like thing back then, but yeah.
So Cuda.
Yeah.
Cuda is it. All right. Sounds good. All right, final question from Jacob Wers. You want to get some tacos?
Yeah.
Let's go.
Let's get out of here.
That was good.
Yeah, that was sweet, dude. You notice I refer to myself in the third person?
You do?
Yeah.
When did you do that?
Well, just now, Dulcich. I'm talking about something. I could have said I'd never make a wine before it's time.
Oh, I didn't know you did the third person.
That's like that's what it is, like third person.
Okay.
I don't even remember all that stuff from English class anyway.